and it is also funny for me how different the concerts are. We just talked Rolling Stones.
What's the economic impact? Is it I'm sure you kind of study on this city. It must be incredible.
I'm also responsible for pretty much everything FIFA. So it goes back to Copa when we had the Argentina, Canada, and then the US-Panama game. Always tells us was the foundation of Home Depot's success to just focus on the customer as well as on the associates.
Welcome to the Westbound podcast. My name is Matthias Oertzen, founder and managing director of the Oertzen Group. Each month we bring you international business leaders to share their personal and professional journey in North America. Thank you for spending time with us. And now let's get to it.
Welcome to the Westbound podcast, where we serve the European business community. I'm very excited about today's guest as a soccer and sports fanatic in general. I would like to introduce you all to Dietmar Exler, the COO for AMB Entertainment and Sports. Dietmar, thank you very much for being on the Westbound podcast.
Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an Austrian on one side, a German on the other side, and we're about to talk about soccer. I just learned from you about the '78 World Cup in Argentina and how it changed World Cup history. So maybe we get some time to talk about that as well. I don't even really know where to start because you've had such an amazing life and career, and you have a current job, if I call it, that's super interesting and I want to talk about. So let's just start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about you, how you ended up in the US, what you were doing on the way to get there. That'd be great.
Thank you. Happy to do that. As you mentioned, I'm Austrian. I was born and raised in Linz, Austria, and then went to school there, went to law school there, enjoyed actually law school and got a teaching job. Was a university assistant at the Institute for Public International Law and EEC Law. And wanted to become a full-time prof and actually teach. Thought that would be my career. And the dean took me aside and encouraged me, but also mentioned, hey, if you really want to continue on the track, you need to earn a degree from a university abroad as well. Okay, so I went to Chicago, got a Master's of Laws in Chicago, became a member of the bar in the United States, and came back teaching.
How Chicago was? Did Linz have an exchange program, or like do you just kind of like Chicago? Do you look at the map?
I looked up, the schools in the U.S. That I liked, applied, to a few of them, and then had a friend who had been in Chicago before, had told me a lot of really good things about it, specifically about law and economics. You can do also some business stuff over there. And so that's why I ended up picking Chicago. Yeah?
That's awesome.
No other real reason, in that.
Yeah.
And then coming back, teaching still, I was a Fulbright scholar, so I got an offer from McKinsey, and they invited me to interviews. So I went, only to these interviews because one of my friends in Chicago actually was from Düsseldorf where the interviews were. And I could, have dinner with him on somebody else's time.
So free dinner is always a good place to go.
That's what it was, really.
Yeah, sure.
It was just a free dinner.
Yeah.
Never thought about it. Then the interview went really well. They invited me to a final interview and then got a job offer of McKinsey. I accepted that for a duration of 2 years. I took a leave of absence for the university for 2 years and then got a call back actually from the senior partner at McKinsey. Was a guy called Klaus Droste at that time, really impressive guy who told me, only 2 years, so you're not really committing to us. I said, well, as I've learned from you guys, it's an up or out. If I don't do well for you, I'll be a goner. And I just apply the same thing. If you don't do well for me, you're going to be a goner for me. And he laughed. And then I went to McKinsey and it was a bit more than 2 years. Ended up staying there. Moved after 3.5 years with McKinsey to the US, to Michigan, to Detroit, where they opened a new office, and stayed then there another 1.5 years, and then joined, from McKinsey, my last client, DaimlerChrysler. And got into the finance side, was on the captive side, financial services, did that for a couple of years, and then was sent back to Germany. Everybody has to work in the headquarters of Mercedes.
Absolutely. Back to Stuttgart, right?
Yeah, I came to Stuttgart, spent there 5 years, and enjoyed it tremendously. We had an awesome time there. Our son was right about 6 years old.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
what a great age to learn German. Yeah.
We moved over, put him first year elementary school, right into German school. Lived on Killersberg, was awesome. Came back and then, did Mercedes-Benz Financial Services US. Then moved over from selling credits to selling cars to the manufacturer side, AMB USA, head of sales, and then a couple of years into that became the CEO for AMB USA and the head of region NAFTA, so US, Canada, Mexico. Did that for a couple of years, and then Mercedes wants the people to rotate. I had zero interest in going to China. At that time, if I were to go back to Germany, I would never come back to the US. My wife's American, and so on. So I actually left and accepted an offer to do sports.
Yeah.
I'm your typical male. I like cars and sports. I get to do both things.
Yeah.
And then joined Atlanta Blank doing the stadium. So after selling credit, selling cars, I'm now selling the hot dogs at the stadium.
At the stadium. It's a little bit more than that, but let's. You did tell me that you actually do all the jobs of your team as well. We'll get into that a little bit too. So I'm sure you've sold the hot dogs before too. Very interesting. Yeah. And so that was probably quite the thing when you called HR in Germany and said, I'm actually leaving Mercedes-Benz. There's probably very few people that leave Mercedes-Benz.
Usually there is, and usually, there isn't. And usually people, when they are asked to move, are moving. You know when that is coming. And it's not all bad to see different markets and everything. It just didn't fit, for my situation.
That makes absolute sense. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So tell us a little bit about your current job. So you are the COO of AMB Sports and Entertainment.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the organization, and then in a broad scope. So I think a lot of people will resonate with all the different parts of AMB Sports and Entertainment, but I think a lot of people, if you tell them, hey, I work for AMB Sports and Entertainment, they might not quite know what that is.
Yeah, so AMB Sports and Entertainment is owned by Arthur Blank, who is the founder, one of the two founders of Home Depot. That was years ago, and then went into the sports business, first bought the Falcons, and then actually built the stadium and got Atlanta United. And the sports and entertainment, the group itself, it's United, Atlanta United, the soccer team, Atlanta Falcons, American football, obviously, and it's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I'm responsible for the operations in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Does not include ticket sales. This is handled by shared services between Falcons, United, and also we do there some third-party events if we have concerts or other things, depending on the overall setup. And I handle all the operations in the stadium. And additionally, to that, I'm also responsible for pretty much everything FIFA. So it goes back to Copa, when we had the Argentina, Canada, and then the US-Panama game. That was technically CONMEBOL and CONCACAF, two of FIFA's areas. Then we had the 6 games in the Club World Cup this year. And then in about 7 months in the week, actually, we are starting with the exclusive period for FIFA 26.
That is very, very exciting, and I want to talk about that a little bit more. I will actually be on Monday in the stadium watching the Falcons against the Bills on Monday Night Football, so I'm taking some clients. I'm very excited about that. What a stadium it is. Tell us a little bit about this stadium. How does it rank against other stadiums? When was it built? How many seats? Just so people get an idea.
Yeah, so the stadium was built pretty much over 3-4 years. 13, 14, and opened then late, 17, 18, for that season. We are in our 8th year. We are very focused, and that comes from Arthur Blank, on customer experience. That's what, he always tells us was the foundation of Home Depot's success, to just focus on the customer as well as on the associates, and making it right. Inverted leadership pyramid, where the CEO really understands himself as serving everybody else in the role. That is absolutely driven by Arthur Blank. We are one of the top stadiums, in that area. We're almost among the leaders. We're number 1 in many rankings for food and beverage and other things across, the whole United States. And we're probably also one of the busiest, if not the busiest stadium. We don't have just football. There's many stadiums who just have a professional football season. We also have an additional season for Atlanta United. We run typically 6-7 football games, college football games on top, which is the schedule of a college football team of home games. Usually we do 7, 8, 9 concerts every year on top of that. And then there is, other smaller events, high school football, for 3-day, the championship for Georgia, huge conventions and so on. So probably the best status is by end of September, we had over 150 events.
150 events.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And that is external events. It doesn't count anything internal, trainings or whatever, just external events. And the other stat is our main kitchen has been dark until the end of September for 5 days.
Wow. Yeah.
Because if you have a football game for 70,000 people and then you need a prep food specifically for the non-concession areas for the premium spaces, the clubs, the suites, you can't start out, on Sunday morning for Sunday afternoon when you cook for 10, 12,000 people.
Right, yeah.
So that goes a couple of days in advance.
Wow, what's the economic impact? I'm sure you kind of study on this city. It must be incredible. I mean, the vendors and
yeah, there's multi facets to it. There is the events where guests come out of town and stay here. So then you have the impact from transportation to hotels, going to restaurants, and whatever else you do. That's very often the case for concerts. We have a lot of people who come out of town, for that, or visiting fans like Monday when the Falcons play the Bills. It's a lot of, New Yorkers, not necessarily coming down all the way from Buffalo, but from Charlotte and from other areas. And then they typically stay overnight. It's an evening game, doesn't end, probably around 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. You don't fly home, at that today. You don't drive anymore. People using hotels. So that's one aspect that we have. The second aspect, we are a pretty big employer, part-time employer for a lot of people. We have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, depending on the event on game day, that works actually part-time for us. All the concession stands, guest services, the cleaning of the stadium afterwards, and so on. So we do a lot, on that area as well. And sitting on the campus of Georgia World Congress Center, we share a lot of the infrastructure that we have, the MARTA stations, park, with the Congress Center as well as with State Farm. And that's a pretty positive symbiotic relationship between all of us.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, that's you mentioned 4,500 people on a game day. Like, what is your so you have, I think during lunch you mentioned about 250 people that work with you on a day like today, right? Where there wouldn't be an event. But then you have to have on Monday night, I guess it starts on sometime during the day, right, around noon or so, that 4,500 people show up to help you run this event.
I mean, simply you need to feed 70,000 people.
Yeah.
Just think about how many cooks we need.
Yeah.
How many workers in F&B? They are well over 1,000.
Yeah.
Between 1,500, 1,800 alone.
Right.
That's a good third, if not more, of the people that work in food and beverage.
Yeah.
We have guest services. We have the security staffing and police officers on top.
Yeah.
A lot of technicians. Actually there for keeping the building running in everything.
Yeah.
As well as making sure that all the technology works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it comes together in so many different aspects. It's a huge group.
Yeah.
And it takes a village, to host, 60, 70,000.
To make that happen, absolutely. And then you have on Monday Night Football, it's a live televised event. I mean, I asked you during lunch, but I'll ask you on the podcast too. Do you get nervous? I mean, imagining that, I'm sure there's some kind of, what do you call this room where you sit with your staff and oversee the event?
Yeah. So we have a stadium operations center.
Yeah.
And that's basically, think about it, they're the main functions of the stadium. So security runs that whole show. And then there is, first of all, medical there, Grady Hospital. There's Atlanta Police Department, Atlanta Fire Rescue, Georgia Congress Center, because we are in their district, technically speaking, as well as then our functions, operations, comms, major events, and so on, as well as guest services and everything, kind of the nerve center of the stadium, where everybody, comes together. I usually don't get nervous, kind of at all. We have a very experienced team that have done many of these events before. So, and we have not really had, situations that were really that crazy, or that scary. It does happen that there's medical emergencies, but that's why, we have, Shane there from Grady, who then more or less takes over, and runs it. We've had police situations, then Atlanta Police Department takes over. Yeah, that's why we have the experts and the disciplines there. And I believe an important job in such a situation from the leader, from whoever is in charge, is to let the experts handle them. I've known them, for years. They are highly qualified. They know what they're doing. Just make sure that they get to do their thing, whatever it needs at that moment, and just have their back. It's the best you can do. There's nothing I can do in a police action, Atlanta Police Department, or that would I know better than they do.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, let the experts handle it. Yeah, for sure. And so you will be hosting the FIFA World Cup as well. You're one of how many stadiums?
16 stadiums in North America, 11 in the US, 2 in Canada, 3 in Mexico.
Okay, gotcha. And we will know by when who's playing where? When is the
draw is December 5th. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. And the first part of the draw will be who plays in which group.
Yeah.
And then, it's a bit not 100% clear. So there's some groups where we have a match out of that group, but we don't know yet whether we're going to get, team A and B or team C and D,
right.
or however it goes. We should know that 24 hours after the draw.
Yeah. Very exciting, very exciting. And then which games will actually be played in the Atlanta Stadium?
We're going to have 5 games of the group phases, then elimination rounds, a round of 32, round of 16, and then the semifinal. We have a semifinal. And I asked for the semifinal with Germany. So we'll see whether that comes.
That can be pulled off, yeah. I think that's every German's dream that lives in this area for Germany. But we first have to make it to the group stages, which we were talking about that at lunch.
Yeah. So my historic perspective on that one is there's World Championships where you never know how the heck the Germans managed to qualify based on what they did. How did they survive the group phase? And then you're in the finals. Next thing we know.
Yeah.
So an absolute, Turniermannschaft, to use that term, that gets stronger and stronger. And I kind of expected the same this year. Yeah.
I really hope so. If we could get Konrad Leimer from the Austrians, that would really help us. But I don't think we can get him to become a German here last minute. He's probably playing for the Austrians.
He actually played in the stadium when Bavarian Munich played Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And at the Club World Cup. Didn't go too well. Yeah. Paris Saint-Germain won, and there was the terrible injury of Musiala.
Yeah.
So not a good day from that perspective. But yeah, and that was probably for me the most fun game. I grew up being a big Bavarian Munich fan in German Bundesliga. We always watch Bundesliga, no question.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I grew up on the other side of the Inn, so that's the team that was closest, to where I grew up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's. I told you I was the opening game of Copa America was Argentina against Canada.
Yeah.
And my wife is Argentinian, as probably every listener to this podcast knows, because I seem to mention it every podcast somehow. But anyways, that was amazing. It was absolutely incredible seeing all that South American flair, all the passion for the game, and then I got to stand, on the Mercedes-Benz level down, seeing Messi walk out the tunnel. It was a pretty special thing. Yeah.
It was a fantastic event, for us. We asked for the opener and got it. And we spent a lot of time actually preparing for it.
How does that? Let me ask you about this. So you said you asked for it, the semifinal. You mentioned you got the semifinal. How does this work? So everybody's in touch with FIFA, I'm assuming.
It's not exactly that you can ask for everything and then you just get it.
Yeah.
But we did ask, for this one because that came relatively late in which stadium to play, and we are calendar changed. One of our biggest problem is, was doing that many events. If you come now and would want to do something in October, November, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Unless it's a really small event, but bigger events, very difficult. We are solidly booked in many areas. So this came a bit late. We couldn't do too much. So we had a discussion back and forth. And I thought, what the heck? And just asked, hey, could we have the opener? Yeah. And then there was also the Gold Cup, going on, another tournament. Combined then into one, and that caused a little bit of challenges. And, very happy. And it doesn't work that way. You just send FIFA a letter and say that's what you wanted to give it to you. But in this case, we were actually happy that we got the opener of Argentina. And about 3 weeks before, we met with all the consuls from South America to just talk with them, to make sure that we all understand. US, you've all been to the stadium here. Very unique, but that's not standard in the world that the fans mix between the teams. When Falcons play the Buffalo Bills in American football, we have Bills fans everywhere, we have Falcons fans everywhere, and it will go fine. There will be no violence, no fighting and so on. If we think about Argentina playing Brazil, Maracanã, kind of not quite the same.
Right.
We think about Bundesliga, you have to separate fans. Same as in England and so on. So we wanted to make sure, because safety is our biggest priority, that we really do everything to prepare. We talked to the fan clubs up front, and it worked out really well from our perspective. We had not much of a challenge.
You probably bring a really unique perspective there too as a European, because you understand this how soccer, how passionate it really gets, right? I was just at a Borussia Dortmund game 2 Sundays ago, I think, and saw the Gelbe Wand, how they're celebrating there. And you're absolutely right. I went to an Atlanta United game, and I would feel comfortable taking my 10-year-old son. You can literally go all the way down, do all the chants, but then just go up the steps and get a hot dog for a great price. Actually, that's I think a choice that was made at Mercedes-Benz too. And just go right back to your seat, right?
Yeah, we view ourselves for Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United as family entertainment. So we have a lot of young families with kids 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and older, coming. Mom, dad, 2 kids and whatever, and they are not concerned. There's no safety issue. If you have Dortmund, Schalke, I'm not sure you would want to do that. And if you do that, you'd be very careful where you buy tickets. You wouldn't want to be in Gelben Wand if you were a Schalke fan.
Yeah, true.
That we are very happy with that. But on the other hand, we can't take that for granted for international soccer matches. So about 18 months ago, Atlanta Police Department, joined us. We had organized a trip to Germany. We worked with the Bundesliga. We went to 2 matches that were a little higher risk. We went 6 months later.
Which matches were those?
One was, kind of with Dortmund, and I think with Dortmund Leverkusen.
Okay, yeah.
And you're mostly seeing, they don't want the train station to go right to the stadium. They want to have a difference between and why and what. And German police and the security folks were really, really accommodating. We then, 6 months later, spent the weekend in Manchester with Manchester United. They walked us through their whole security protocol. They had an Arsenal come. How do you keep the fans separated? They use horses. And, what all they do to prepare and make sure that everything is safe.
And they do it on a weekly basis,
Yes. Yeah. And, Bundesliga does a great job, on that as well. And we can learn a lot from them. And from a security perspective, we rather be over-prepared than under-prepared.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm assuming that the Copa, we talked briefly about it, and feel free not to divulge too much information, but we talked briefly about the Copa final in Miami, and I think everybody who likes soccer was aware of that. There was a lot of people that got in that shouldn't have gotten in. I'm sure that played into FIFA looking into making sure that the World Cup just really out exactly how it should be.
I was there, and I mean the good thing is overall it was not a violent atmosphere. So when we were in the stadium, we saw when the folks come in, many that had no tickets rushed the stadium. Many of them were sitting in our seats, and we just make you in our seats, and they get up and left. They were not violent by any means. That was the good thing, but there is something to be careful about. and make sure that you don't get too comfortable, because then you get complacent with security. So you need to be always very, very careful.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you mentioned about sporting events, but at the same time, then you have other entertainment, right? So you literally could go from a Beyonce concert to the SEC Championship, and we're probably not scheduling those next to each other, but you see what I'm trying to say. And then a private event where you have 30,000 people come because a large corporation wants to entertain their employees.
Yeah.
Like, talk a little bit about these challenges. Completely different crowds.
The thing that you don't necessarily see on the events, we have actually more to do in preparation for the events and more to do to make sure that load in, load out works. So to use an example, since you mentioned Beyonce, on July 5th, we had the last FIFA game for the Club World Cup this year. And that was Bavaria Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. That was on the 5th, towards the evening. And then on the 10th, we had the first of 4 Beyonce concerts in 5 days. She did Thursday, Friday, and then Sunday, Monday. So we had 4 days in between. Typically, FIFA would ask for a week of load out, and Beyonce would ask the team for 4 or 5 days of load in. Without any interference. So they get the whole stadium and nobody's there. Well, when the Beyonce team came, FIFA started the load out. Not that they were done, they just started the load out. So managing the things from one event to another, specifically when it's concerts, when there is a big stage, coming. At the end of concerts, we had to get Beyonce out on Monday because we played on Wednesday soccer again for Atlanta United. This actually requires us much more planning. We have to focus on that in great detail. That is the event itself. Put Beyonce on stage and she delivers.
Sure.
Kind of that. There's things with F&B we need to keep an eye on and so on. It's usually the in-betweens, the transitions that you have to be much more on your tippy toes.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then you have, Beyonce, that's quite the star, right? And then you have the FIFA, that's... those are...
It's a big organization.
They all know what they want to do and what they don't want to do.
Yeah, but honestly, the most important event for us is the next event. We will never go, you're a small client, it's a small event, doesn't really matter, we don't bring our A game, we focus already on the next one. We can't. That is absolutely the most important event is the next. Because for the promoter, that does that event, for the organization that does the event, that is their event. It is really, really important to them. And they don't care what you have 2 days after or 2 days before. Yeah. They are focused on their event. And, they are renting the stadium. They expect certain things from us, very rightfully. So we have to deliver to them. We focus a lot on guest experience. All that is very near and dear and driven by Arthur. But on the same token, not the public. We also want to focus on promoter experience. Concerts, we typically work with Live Nation. We want to make sure we make it as easy as possible, for Live Nations to have concert at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That is a really... I think long-term essential thing, to do. Yeah, so you mentioned during lunch also how important servant leadership is, and I think you just mentioned it again. And it fits right in with everybody is the same, and we want everybody to have the same great experience because this is your event, right? Yeah. I have to ask you a tough question. I've been probably 10 times now in the stadium. I've never seen the roof open. Well, you'll see it on Monday. I see it on Monday. Unless it starts raining, you will see the roof open on Monday. Well, fantastic. Yeah. The challenge with the roof is the following. Okay. If it is, we are midst of October, of now. And if we had a Sunday afternoon game and it's 75, 77, 78 degrees and the roof is open, the section over the Delta Club, if there's no clouds, will get absolutely roasted. Okay. The sun comes in over that area, then it's obviously air conditioning doesn't do any good if you have the roof open. And there is no air movement and you're sitting in the direct sun, you can add to 15 degrees on top of that. And the 75, becomes a 90 and just sit in 90 in the straight sun, and that, and you're just getting roasted.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, just put the away team there, Dietmar, and then open the roof.
The away team is on that side, but we also have a ton of fans there.
Okay, yeah.
And it really is the roof, allows us to condition the stadium, and we need the roof more for the summer than we need it for the winter in Georgia. It can be cold, but that's 1 or 2 events. But between June, July, and August, and then September, it's just too hot and too humid.
I was also in the Georgia Dome. That was the stadium before there. And I mean, insane improvement. I mean, it's incredible how nice the stadium is now. And then I remember the first renderings with the way the bird's nest opens, and like around the Falcons. And now it's called the Benz, right? It's also funny. You mentioned at lunch that you had nothing to do with the decision, but it's quite interesting that you used to be the CEO of Mercedes-Benz USA, and now you get to work with the stadium that's branded Mercedes-Benz USA. Yeah.
Branding led to relationships, no question about that.
Sure.
But the decision to do that was made in Stuttgart, as it should be. This is a pretty big commercial decision.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great every time I fly in and I see the stadium. But I had to ask this question because I literally have never been in it, and it's been open. So I'm looking forward to hopefully on Monday you can press the button and it opens up.
Yeah, I'm also I'm taking this is not a public kind of tour or whatever, but we're taking people on the roof.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of steps that you have to go up, even from the 300 level.
Yeah.
To go up all the way on top of the roof, and you are standing in the panels, can take a look down in the middle of the halo board.
Yeah.
And then there's doors outside. Go outside. Yeah. It's pretty amazing view of the skyline of Atlanta.
Yeah, it's incredible. The location of it is really nice too. If you want to stay in a hotel and get really close by it. Tell us a little bit about like the different levels that you have in the stadiums. I do believe there's like a Mercedes-Benz kind of level. Then you have the different suites. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
So we don't call it Mercedes-Benz. We call it field level.
Field level.
And on the field level, we have the Mercedes-Benz Cup and the Delta Club on the other side.
Yeah.
And what's unique to us, which can make it difficult, but that's just the way the stadium was designed, had to be designed, because of its location. Usually the lowest floor, the field floor, is a working level. Well, for us, we have it as a working level, but we also have fans and guests there to get in the end zone suites, to get into AMB, to get into Delta. And that can make it very difficult. It's also when you go from the locker room to on the field, you're walking, players, teams walk to fan areas.
Yeah.
That requires also special added security. Then we have a level higher, 100 level. After 100 level, half a level up is the S1 level, suite level 1, then 200 level. Suite level 2, 300 level. And now we added a new club on the 300 level, the Sports Illustrated launch, which is our entry level, all-inclusive. From a pricing perspective. In my mind, it's almost the best place to see a concert. Because you're right above the west end zone, and the stage is usually on the east end zone where the cities to the windows are.
Yeah.
You see down, you have a great overview, you see everything, and you have all the amenities of an all-inclusive club. It's stadium fare, so it's hamburgers, cheeseburgers, hot dogs, French fries, chicken tenders, and that stadium fare, and beer and wine. No hard liquor, in the all-inclusive area there. But it's just awesome view of everything. It is really nice, and we just opened it actually for the Beyonce concerts in July.
Okay, interesting. Talk a little bit about the food. I know there was a conscious decision being made about the pricing on the food. Talk about the philosophy behind it.
So I joined when the stadium was already open. So the food prices were already in place. But basically, if you take a look at the overall revenue that the stadium makes, ticketing, which is huge, there's sponsorship, which is huge, and so on, and there is food, which is, relatively speaking, a smaller piece. And Asa saw that and pushed and kind of said the things that he hears from fans that drives them most nuts can be food prices in stadium, your captive audience, and you're charging according to. And he listens very much to fans and fan feedback. And based on that, and he went to quite a lot of stadiums in preparing for building that stadium to see them. And he went also sometimes just as author, kind of without anything. And he kind of said what annoyed him most is when he felt he was overcharged by amount. So based on that, he came out with 2 principles. The first is we have a dozen items that are fan-friendly priced. So a hot dog is $2, a hamburger is $4, a cheeseburger is $5, chicken tenders and French fries are $6, and Coke is $3, unlimited. You can refill how you want, and so on. Dozen items like that. And additionally, for everything else, he wants street-level pricing. So basically the same that you would in other restaurants or bars and so on, which is not always easy to determine because they're not all on the same price level.
Sure.
But directionally, you should pay at the stadium what you would also at a bar, at a restaurant, wherever you go. And that actually has worked and resonated really well. And additionally, we put a lot of focus on variety. So it's not that we just have dogs, and hamburgers. We try to have for every Falcons game a unique dish that only exists on that one day. Yeah. So
challenging from operations side.
Yes, but doable. Yeah, but doable. So my favorite was in the long history was the volcano.
Okay.
We took a rack of ribs.
Okay.
You stand it up. You fill it on the inside with mac and cheese or French fries. Put coleslaw all around it, and then barbecue sauce on top.
Oh, that sounds amazing. It's also a very southern dish. It fits.
It's very southern.
Yeah.
It has so many calories that we got special subsidies from Social Security because it will reduce your life expectancy. Eating all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was one of the first ones we tried. Didn't know how it goes, so we only made 50. We were sold out half an hour before the game started.
I can imagine.
Yeah? And so we're doing something like that on every game day. We're doing a big walkthrough to the stadium, talk about every portable, every stand, all the food items, everything in the club. How long have certain items been here? How much are we selling of them or not? What needs to go to bring in new variety, to change it? That's a big focus, that we all have.
Yeah. Let me ask you a little bit from a fan experience standpoint. The parking around the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, is that something you discuss internally with your team?
Yes,
okay.
A lot.
Okay.
We are an inner city stadium. We are not like a stadium, say, in Arizona, in Glendale, that's somewhat desert around it, and you can park, 40,000-50,000 cars easily. We don't have that quite. We have a little bit over 10,000 parking spots in the vicinity of the stadium. Georgia World Congress, most of them the owner, that are available. However, we have 15,000 hotel rooms within 15 minutes walk. We have the 2 MARTA stations. Yeah? So with every kind of inner city kind of situation, there is some bright spots and there is some other more areas that have maybe a little bit of shade, on it. Number of parking spots is limited, and I would recommend to everybody buy, your parking spot up front. It's on the websites available with Georgia World Congress. You can reserve your spot, up front, or you can come down and circle and see where you find something.
Yeah, or get a hotel room, right? Wasn't a large Hilton just opened right next to it?
The Hilton Signia just opened. Yeah. That is virtually a driver and a 9-iron away. Not more than that. So we have truly 15,000 hotel rooms within 15 minutes walking. So very, very comfortable. But, on parking, get your parking pass up front, and life is so much easier. Yeah. If you come down and search, it can be frustrating because Georgia World Congress might have an event. Something could be at State Farm and so on. And we are in a downtown area. There's Northside Drive. There's MLK Drive. So it's also not the 20 different roads. Basically sitting on the corner of one major intersection, and then it's a little bit traffic-wise limited. MARTA is a great opportunity to get to the stadium. However, we do have the situation, 70,000 people leaving, if they all stay to the end, the Buffalo Bills game at the same time in a city. That comes with traffic.
Yeah.
But it's a big focus. What can we do to make rideshare, better, give them more space? How can we optimize traffic? It's an ongoing focus of a big group, what we can do there.
Yeah. I mean, I can also say I live in the suburbs, as so many do in Atlanta, and I've been to so many events. And I mean, Atlanta is really, the Atlanta Police Department is doing a really nice job of keeping it safe. You can, go to a restaurant, walk down to the stadium. I've never once, in all the years that I've gone to the stadiums, have any issues going there. It's absolutely great. I'm going to push you a little bit on this, and you're going to say it's all the same, but I know it's a lie, so give me an honest answer. What are some of your favorite events? What were some of the artists who were like, oh, this was cool, or like I really enjoyed setting? I've been to the Monster Jam, for example. That was my son. They really enjoyed that. I'm sure that was not your favorite one, but I don't know. Yeah.
No. So, I mean, there's different categories of events.
Okay.
On the sporting events, on the football games, my favorite events are that go down to the wire. Because then you have the best atmosphere in the stadium.
So you really live with the audience. Like you are up there in your, what did you call it? Command Central? What do you call it?
Stadium Operations Center.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you get a feel. What's the feel is in the stadium? How do fans react?
Let me ask you a question. Sorry to interrupt. Like, so I know that you probably have some team that also plays music at a certain time or puts a beat on or something like that. Like, is that played off the emotion? Is there somewhat of a stadium DJ that runs that?
There is a stadium DJ.
Okay.
It's half and half. It's prepared. You have certain things, that basically could do this or that. What have I done in the past? But then you need to react to the situation.
Okay. So, and there is someone that reacts.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That is all organized. I like the sporting events that go down to the wire. I mean, football games, college football games, they go into overtime. Fully understand, they are not the best for the health of the coaches. They might create heart attacks. But if you have a college football game and, beginning of the third quarter, it is 35-3, the atmosphere is usually not that good.
Sure. Yeah.
It's too one-sided. What do we like about sports? It's this kind of this tension and everything. And you go home, and we had, the game, Ohio basically lost because they missed. And I don't wish a miss on everybody. Don't get me wrong. Sure. But they missed a kick at midnight, on that. The field goal goes wide. Everybody was in their seat, and then you missed it or you're cheering for the other team, whatever it is. These are the most funs that go down, to the wire. Yeah. When Atlanta United scores the winning goal, basically in the 5th minute of overtime, coming back, we're behind. That are the most fun, of the sporting events.
Experiences,
We had that last year a couple of times in the Falcons season. We made it on a whisker into overtime and then won. This is just, you go home and you feel good, If you're on the winning side,
sure.
I get it. Yeah. But that's what sport is about, emotion.
Yeah.
And then on concerts, I'm 57 years old. So Rolling Stones were awesome for me.
I was there. That was, 2 years? Was it 2 years already?
We had them twice, 4 years ago, and then, about 18 months ago.
18 months ago I went, and that was incredible. I couldn't believe the energy that Mick Jagger had. 45. I hope I have that energy at that age. Incredible.
Yeah, and it is also funny for me how different the concerts are. We just talked Rolling Stones. Yeah. Mick Jagger is past 80. Yeah. I mean, he runs around and sings like crazy. Independent of the fact I cannot sing as good as him, I could also not run around and sing as much as you do. Just I'm not as conditioned, to do that. He was pretty amazing. It was also a very unique concert from the aspect. At that concert, we needed more wheelchairs than police officers.
Oh,
because
interesting.
This was not a 20-year-old crowd.
True. Yeah.
Some people were leaving with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And I was talking to an older, gentleman who was going out with a cane, and I asked him, "Sir, is everything okay? You're leaving early?"
Yeah.
And he just said, "Son, this is past my bedtime. And it's not that it's a curfew from his parents. Like that. It's just very unique, very different than when you have a Post Malone.
Yeah, sure.
Or a group of Firma.
Yeah.
Or, Taylor Swift, you know, which is young girls predominantly.
Right.
So every concert is just...
I mean, what a great way to stay at the edge of culture, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some artists that come through there that you had not heard of.
Kanye West was one of them. Yeah.
Okay,
I had not heard of them.
Yeah.
And then he decided to stay in the stadium and lived in the stadium for the next 23 days.
Yeah.
Just didn't move out.
Yeah. What are the most challenging? Is that those time frames where you have maybe only 4 days to turn something?
It can be.
Yeah.
So I mentioned, we had a Peach Bowl, semifinal, and that was a New Year's Day. On New Year's December 31st, 8 o'clock at night. Ohio unfortunately missed the field goal at midnight, and the next day at 1 o'clock we have the Falcons.
Yeah.
And then there is still, presentations of trophy and journalists and interviews. And a little after 1, I told the journalists who were on the field doing interviews, guys, you need to go. And then we have this confetti everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's a pain, quite frankly. And then
7
hours later.
Vacuum cleaner, or how do you?
We can't use a vacuum cleaner because we have infield. We have a synthetic field.
Yeah.
And then we have infield, it's rubber pieces in. If you use a vacuum cleaner, you suck up the rubber as well.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's got to be broomed or picked up?
We have some kind of rake and pickup, solution that we use for that. And then, it was all hands on. 10 o'clock in the morning for 12 o'clock, Falcons player come out and stretch, and everything needs to be ready. The new paint job need to be dry, etc., etc.
Yeah.
The concession stand need to be refilled with food.
Yeah.
You need to have the accounting done for each concession stand.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's a new P&L.
Yeah.
Stadium needs to be clean. Everything needs to happen. That can get very tight.
Yeah. I don't know if these numbers are publicly available or if you can talk about it, but what kind of revenue does a stadium like that generate? Is that something you can talk about?
Not in detail.
Okay.
But let's put it this way. The revenue numbers also need to be in line with the cost of the stadium because it's privately financed. And the cost of the stadium is a bit north of 1.5.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So then if you take it that this needs to its cost, operations and everything, then the revenue number that might sound big, it's not quite that big.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, what I'm trying to think of stadiums. You have what is it, AT&T in Texas, right? That's probably equivalent, right?
Yeah.
Like you guys are probably same level of high quality stadium, right? And then was there another one that's brand new?
Yeah, I would add 2 other ones. Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah.
Las Vegas is really nice. Agent did a great job, and SoFi did a good job in LA as well.
Yeah.
These are kind of all really nice stadiums.
Yeah. And so the Braves have recently decided, 2-3 years? No, it's longer, right? 5, 6, 7 years ago, they've decided to go up out in the suburbs. The Falcons stayed in the stadium, right? But I guess I know there's a battery around the Brave Stadium. That's probably really good. But I guess with the city being so close, people can walk into the city and dine there or stay there.
And we have the development of Centennial Yards coming up in the Gulch. So that's coming really nicely together. That will add a lot. Are you
as a stadium or AMB driving that development or in collaboration?
No, there's a bit of cooperation and we talk to them, but the real drivers is actually an organization that is owned by the same, as the Hawks, same group, and they are driving input. They share information with us. They've been great neighbors, great partners, and showed us their plans and everything, but they are the real drivers.
Yeah. So, for many Europeans, Germans for sure, CEO of Mercedes-Benz in America, that's a highlight, right? And now you get to work in a stadium that coincidentally also has a Mercedes-Benz name. You get to host the FIFA World Cup. Is there anything bigger than that? I mean, that's pretty amazing, right?
Well, first I sold cars, now I sell hot dogs. So it's a logical progression.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time here. This was very exciting to learn more about you, to learn more about the stadium, I'd like a prediction from you for the semifinal, because I'd love to go back in our recording here and see what actually happened. Do you have one?
Well, you mean for FIFA?
Yeah,
26 on the semifinal. The challenge is there's 2 semifinals. So I'll give you who I think are the 4 teams that are going to be in there.
Okay, good.
But it depends which group they're going to go in, and then
don't
know.
That makes sense. Let's go to 4 teams. Yeah.
So I think if you were to bet against Argentina, you make a mistake.
I agree. Is Messi playing or not?
He will be playing.
Okay.
He will be playing.
I think so too.
That's going to be, I think, his last one. But he loves soccer too much to forgive that.
Yeah.
And it's only exclusive period starts, so it's 8 months away. 8 months and a week is the opening.
Yeah.
So Messi for sure will be playing. Argentina will be playing. Di Maria, they all come back together. And that's going to be the last one.
Yeah.
I would also...
Oh, you think Di Maria is coming back?
I think so. I hope so. He was my favorite player.
Mine too. I have his jersey. So
Yeah,
I'm like, he's
I
my
love
favorite
player.
player.
I hope he's coming back. I would never bet against him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my favorite team when I grew up in South America was Brazil. I would not. They are probably not there yet.
So Ancelotti is not gonna quite get them there. Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
France for me is a set.
I agree.
Absolutely good. I would put Spain up there.
They have to be in there.
And Germany.
Thank you.
These are the 4 teams. And I'm not just saying that, kind of on that saying.
Yeah.
For us, kind of the games against Germany as Austrians are always remarkable, because you always beat us every 50 years. Maybe it goes the other way. But you typically beat us handsomely, and then some.
Well, right now you have Ralf Rangnick, so you have a pretty good chance. And do you want to tell the story really quick about the 1978 World Cup? I did not know the fact, and I think it's interesting.
This is how long it's really ago that Austria, we were talking about Austrian-German, soccer history. And that's 1 year before Matthias actually was born, was the last time that the Austrian team had a great showing against a German national soccer team at the Worlds, actually in Argentina, where we won 3-2, on that. And then both teams after that match, we were already out. And Germany, because of that loss to Austria, was out as well. But that is back, 78. What is that? 47 years ago. Every 50 years, something like that. And there is 20 matches in between where Germans beat us badly. Well, let's also be fair on this one.
We have our differences in soccer, but I think other than that, we're more similar than not, especially being both German speakers in the United States. And Dietmar, I really, really appreciate the time. Would you like to let our listeners know where they can find you? Is there anything you want to talk about, like any special promotions, events, your LinkedIn page, anything?
I'm easy to find. There's only one Austrian at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, kind of that. So I'm easy to find there. Not a problem. I am on LinkedIn as well, but very passive. I'm not active much at all in the whole area. And come to the stadium. And please, if you want to do something in the stadium, if you have guests there from Germany, you want a tour or something of the stadium, you want me to show you around, more than happy, to do that. I've done it multiple times. I'm not going to take to the public spaces and explain concession stands to anybody, because you all know that and have seen that. Depending on when it is, we go to locker rooms and other, command centers. We have a jail in the stadium, kind of things. It's a rather places that I think are interesting, that if you come as a fans, you do not get to see. But happy to offer that, and happy, kind of to welcome you at the stadium.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Dietmar. Very good. To all of you listeners and hopefully also viewers, please like, subscribe. Please leave some comments. We'd love to hear from you how we can improve this podcast. Thanks again, Dietmar.
Thanks for having me.